Hi, welcome to No Substitutes, the bonus episodes series, because I'll be multiple. I'm Lumi Ray, but you knew that. Let's see. Let's give you guys some updates. So right now, I am currently working on a few projects. One of them is actually with Holly Randall, and another is with my friend David Teitelbaum. And I'm actually going to be back in the chef coat. And we're doing a pop-up, and we'll actually be traveling to a few states.
I'm pretty sure it's fine, but it looked like there was a slight glitch in the video. Can you just explain the concept of the restaurant one more time?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's called Dictators, and it's not that we're, because I want to be very clear, people, that we're not communists or that we're in support of dictators. It's just more like a fun play on words for the fun little restaurant idea we're doing during the elections. So.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of politics or keep up with them, but I saw they showed me the logo that they want for the van, and it was just Trump and his tiny. So I was like, that's amazing. So yeah, I'm like, if I was going to run a food truck, it would have to have a on it. So
yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so currently working on getting my food handlers renewed again. Haven't done that in I remember when I worked in restaurants, I had to do it every 3 years, I think, 3 to 5 years. So I haven't done it in
Is it a difficult process? I don't know anything about it.
No, it's really not. It's literally like a tutorial on...
Oh, yeah, it's got to be easy because fast food workers need to have it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, anyone needs to have it. That's another thing that I was bringing up to David the other day on, if we hire people, I'm like, you have to make sure they have that, and just going over logistics for the food truck.
That might be a fun... bonus episode bit we could do, see if we can get the producers to pass the food handlers without any prep
that'd
work.
Be funny.
To work on the show, you need your food handler license.
Would make sense, especially if the questionnaire is in a menu.
Yeah.
if this becomes more of a restaurant theme, then yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure next month we could do the restaurant theme.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive. I've been shopping around. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Then we can do it for a little bit less than $100 or around that.
Okay.
If we're doing the building up aspect of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Just slowly over time. So I'm pretty confident in that. So what was the process of making the menu for you?
He just told me his ideas, and actually he just told me the names of the sauces and menu items he wanted, and I just came up with them. Let me have free range, so that was fun. It's the first time I've ever actually gone to be a chef or have a say in something. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I've always I loved cooking, and I loved kind of just learning menus. This is the first time I'm actually making one, so it's been super fun.
And it's always going to be in the food truck, or are you ever going to have a storefront that you're
I think
renting?
just in the food truck, just because it's going to be a pop-up.
Okay.
And
Is there a process of when you're making a menu where you have to think, okay, because we're in a food truck, I have to make the menu like this because maybe there isn't enough storage for...
Yeah, that's kind of what we're working on right now.
Yeah.
It's just portions and
exactly.
Quality control. That's what I loved doing. I've been the head cook, and so I know how to do all that. But yeah, it's fun for me in a weird way. It's makes my OCD feel nice.
Is there one particular item that you can talk about on the menu that's I'm excited for people to try this? Or
let's see. I think I have it in my notes.
We don't want to get rid of reveal the whole menu, but is there one particular thing that I can't wait for you guys to try this?
Yeah. Honestly, it's just all the sauce names. There's one called Secret January 6th sauce, the MAGA cheese, wall sauce, BBQAnon, and RF queso.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, those are fun.
What are like the states strategic? Like, are you guys going to swing states, or is it just, it wasn't that far thought into?
I don't know. I saw he sent me some states the other day. I think it's just like random because there's like New York and it looked like more cities.
Okay, yeah, I asked that question like I know which are the swing states. So
right,
like, I don't even
that's
know,
why I'm like I don't know if we're just going blue or red, but I think we're going to. It's going to be a mix, and we're just going to see who's like thinks it's funny and who's too sensitive for it. But it's also like then don't eat at the food truck.
Yeah. It's gonna be the first food truck that like needs security, just to be safe.
Yeah, and they want to put someone in like a Donald Trump like sumo looking costume
just
to hand out like
dump the entire budget into just getting Shane Gillis to do his Trump impersonation.
Oh my God!
And just hand out food.
That would be so worth it.
It'll probably the only thing you'll have left is like a lemonade stand because I'm sure that's gonna be
that'd be a lot of money. Yeah,
it's still be pretty funny still.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about going to Cuba.
Ooh, yes.
What was that process like getting there? Because all I know about Cuba is that we're not allowed to go there, I think. So how do you how do you get to Cuba? Is that all changed or?
Yeah. So I was vlogging the whole time, which hopefully by the time this comes out, you guys will see the vlog. I just need to record like me doing this pretty much, just like reflecting on the whole trip. So in the vlog, it explains pretty much step by step how you are able to, as a U.S. citizen and being from California, specifically how you can get to Cuba. We are allowed there. There's still the embargo, so you can't use like even if you're not from America, there's not really any ATMs there, but you specifically can't use any cards from the U.S. But I didn't really have a hard time coming into the state. My visa was more expensive than Luke's because he used his Canadian passport because he's smart and savvy when it comes to traveling and has dual citizenship. But as a U.S. citizen, I think it is probably the most expensive. It was still only like $87, and I couldn't buy it until I was at the airport that was going to Cuba. I flew out of LA to Dallas, and from Dallas to Havana, but in Dallas was where I got my visa. And yeah, I feel like a lot of what Americans are being told is just through the internet. I mean, it's really like anywhere you travel. You kind of have to travel to know the truth. And a lot of them were shocked. I think me and Luke were the only Americans. I think we met one other person from Texas and one other person from Colorado. And they were both single men, just like on their own there. But yeah, every Cuban that we talked to was kind of like, we really want Americans to come here because you guys, have money, you'll spend it, we're good spenders when it comes to traveling, and their tourism isn't really the best. Well, at least like when we were there weren't too many people there. It's a very poor country. It was the first like underdeveloped country I had been to. But still beautiful, great food, great people. Everyone is just trying to make a living, and you feel that in the streets. It's kind of like, I've gone to Mexico, it's kind of the same thing where people are just, coming up to you, trying to sell you stuff, trying to braid your hair, I don't know. And that happened a lot, mostly in Havana. Everywhere else, like Trinidad or Vinales, was a lot more mellow, but still, people in those parts, I could tell people were better at trying to build a connection before trying to sell you something. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they just weren't feeling as eager. But Havana, maybe because it's more of a city and it's their main area, everyone's kind of just hustling. But it's also like, I don't know, there were a few times where we were just trying to walk to just get food, and maybe we just got stopped a lot of times. But it's good to remember and remain patient, be kind, and just understanding that it's their way of life and they're just trying to make a living. So but everyone said they love Americans and they would love if more Americans would visit. And it's actually a very safe country. There's no crime. There's no, like, even, I don't know, I walked around with my Leica and like stuff, and no one tried to, mug us or steal stuff from us. I never felt unsafe. And thankfully, Luke speaks Spanish. If you don't speak Spanish, I don't recommend going. Yeah. But I was actually pretty shocked, though, at how many people did speak English pretty well. But Luke is really good at Spanish. So thankfully, having him made getting around really easy, or like getting answers or connections more easily. Because I think if I just went by myself, I would have not known how to navigate it as well, and know, like, if someone's just like, oh, here are all the touristy spots, versus like Luke's asking like about the specific spots and wants to go to where the good cigars are, where the good, like, where we can go dancing, where we can go get good food. So we did do some touristy stuff. Like Casablanca, that's where their smaller Jesus statue is. Oh, really? It's across Havana. It's beautiful. It's a little more green over there. And also the house of Che Guevara is there.
Is that a museum? Or
yeah, it's a museum.
Interesting.
Okay. But you see like the bed and everything. And then, that was a big thing. Che Guevara's face is like everywhere in that country.
Yeah, I bet.
But we talked to one person that was kind of like, we were like, so how do you feel about Che Guevara? He's like, we probably wouldn't be where we are. But actually, I don't know. I think one of our last nights, I had a conversation with this restaurant owner, and he said, he was talking about, growing up in Cuba, living in Cuba. Him and his wife met each other when they were like 12 years old, and they're still together to this day, and they own a restaurant and have a daughter. And he just was a very positive person. I mean, the thing is, all Cuban people we met were very positive, very full of life, even if, they're not, their pockets aren't full, their hearts were always full, and they were very welcoming and very kind. But the restaurant owner said something that night, because we were kind of talking to him about, it was towards the end of the trip, so we had a little more time to reflect and talk about our experiences. And he was saying, every country has their problems. If life is beautiful, if you know how to live it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a beautiful saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in just like Latin culture, it's so welcoming in general, and then we like to share. Like when we see people like participating in our culture, it's like, oh, that's so exciting that like you're trying this out. And it's so strange to me when other cultures are like the opposite of that. We're like, no, this is mine, and it's just like, I mean, I get it to an extent, but also it's just the opposite of what I grew up on. I grew up on like just sharing as much as a culture as possible.
Yeah, in the U.S., I mean, California or like New York is such a melting pot of cultures. So I was born in SoCal, so I was born around a lot of Hispanic culture and have been around that. Didn't think anything of it. And then moved to Humboldt, where there were a lot of just white hippies, but still, like, I don't know, it's just very welcoming community.
Yeah. I don't really know that much about Cuba, so maybe you can like clear up if this is like a misconception or not. I heard Cuba is like basically like a country that's like in the 1950s. Like,
I mean, the cars are.
Yeah, like the cars and like
it totally felt like a time capsule.
Okay.
For sure. Like, there's cool. Nothing really that modern. Like, to the point where like I was definitely not totally prepared, but I'm so glad I went and had that experience. But yeah, like, you don't really see people on their phones. You just see people smoking cigars at cafes and riding cars from the 50s and wearing big hats and salsa dancing. I don't know. I remember just walking around, and I mean, it's very hot. It was very hot when we were there, so people just have their fans or they're just sitting on a stoop drinking rum. It's like, I don't know.
What was the biggest culture shock to you?
No toilet seats.
No toilet seats? How does that? I don't
like
know.
They don't have
You're
toilet
just squatting,
seats.
I guess. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Isn't that? I feel like I've always heard that's how you're supposed to do it, anyways. And I was like, I don't know. I like sitting down. I don't know.
I mean, after a few days, I was like, yeah, this is a toilet. I don't know. Yeah. But that was, I mean, yeah, that was crazy. And like how water's like not free. You have to either bring water or buy like a bottle of water. You can't drink their tap water.
Yeah. It's like Mexico.
And then, yeah, same with like toilet paper. Toilet paper was very scarce. So you would have to pay for like a few pieces.
Okay, so bring toilet paper if you're going.
Yeah, it's all in the vlog.
Yeah,
I'm like,
or have a toilet paper budget.
Yeah, or like, and also like if you are used to using, it's like better. There's some countries I think you can totally wing it, but I feel like with Cuba, you're gonna want all your accommodations booked beforehand because you can't use any of the apps. No, none of those apps work in Cuba.
Interesting.
Because a lot of them are based.
Yeah. I remember that was the one where I was just being dumb. I was like, I should have been the one uploading to social media.
Oh, no. That was, I didn't expect that.
But I think just in general, when you're traveling, I should just probably do it by default anyway, so you don't have to think about it. We already have all that stuff saved anyways, you know?
We'll see. Or maybe I'll just try to plan next time better.
Yeah.
Or I just won't go to underdeveloped country. But I mentioned that in the vlog. Also, maybe like having a VPN if you do need to use your phone or laptops. Because I mean, I work from my phone, so that was a little frustrating. But got a Cuba SIM. Let's see. But yeah, so make sure you book all your accommodations beforehand if you're using Airbnb or hotels.com or just anything. And great places, very affordable, super cheap. Food was super cheap. The most expensive thing I think was transportation, but it was like transportation from Havana to Vinales to Trinidad back to Havana. It was like $50 for like a taxi, and here that would have been like a $300 Uber, so it wasn't the worst.
Luke, from when we did his episode, I kind of got the impression that he's the kind of guy who can just like make things happen like in the moment. Like he talks to someone and then through that conversation discovers something to do that's really exciting.
Oh yeah.
So in this trip particular, what was like one of the best things that he did like that, where he just like from a conversation he found out about doing this thing, and then so like what was the best not planned moment or one of them? It doesn't have to be the best, but like what's popping in your head right now? Unplanned, just kind of happened.
Try to think. We did so much within like a few days. I don't know. I feel like we had to plan most of the stuff.
Okay.
But if it was like unplanned, I feel like it was him talking to locals about restaurants or like we would just go to like good restaurants and then he got really into doing his research on cigars. So
nice.
He went on his own adventure a few times to go find like good ones.
Is he a cigar guy in general, or
he wasn't until this trip?
Okay.
I just bought that bundle in Vinales because I was like, this is like where they do it, so this makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
And he ended up being like, oh, those are like the best ones.
Did you get some from like other people, for other people as well? Or was I the guy that...
Just you, Brent, and I gave Remy one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
I left like 2 with Luke. I made sure to spread them out.
Yeah.
Are
you a cigar person or not really?
I don't really smoke anything, so... But it was nice. I think I only took like a few hits here and there from Luke's cigars, but... like I understand it for like we would have like some Havana 7 and then like smoking that. I was like, this is a nice pairing for sure. This like tastes great. But both were like such like intense tastes. I think actually the coolest, sorry, it just popped into my head. The coolest thing that he found out, it was actually from one of the Americans we met, was this salsa dancing thing. So in the streets, it was like in the streets in Trinidad. And so we went and there was like a few people, just professional salsa dancers. And then I guess towards the end, there's a salsa competition and I had enough drinks. So I ran down and danced and I won the salsa competition.
That's cool.
So that was fun. That was one thing we learned from a friend that we made when we were doing some tours in Trinidad. And he was like, oh, there's this thing like right down the street, this salsa on these steps kind of concert. So we went to that and
I immediately went to that story with your mom who kind of like improbably did that dance competition and won.
Yeah.
That's funny. So it's in the genes, I guess.
It is, yeah. We don't dance a lot, but I guess when we do, people are like,
you win.
They love it.
All right, so Dancing of the Stars. Yes. Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Cuban Stars.
Yeah. We'll sign you up for that. And then we'll just keep this one OnlyFans only so we can bet on you and it doesn't look suspicious.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. So what was that? So you vlogged it. Was that your first serious attempt at vlogging, or have you done it before?
That was my first serious attempt, and I still don't know if I quite did it because I did it right because I'm not talking in any of the videos. I'm just like putting notes in, and then like it's just pretty. That's why I'm trying to find music to put over it.
I did because I was gonna show you like here's how I would do an intro.
Right.
So like I looked
up.
That's
why I was gonna send you what I have and see what you think.
I looked up like B-roll of Cuba, and then I went on freesound.org, and then there's someone recorded a band in Cuba, and then I used that. So it's like, it has you can hear the audience a little bit, and you can hear
I love that. Though.
The band kind of like testing a little bit before, and then the music starting.
I love that.
Yeah,
okay, so that's what I've been trying to find.
Yeah, I'll send you that.
Okay. And then I just need to do a reflection.
Yeah. So yeah, it was funny. So I did, and I was also looking. I was like, okay, let me look at like some vlogs from Cuba. But I did the B-roll first, and so many vloggers used the B-roll from YouTube that was like on there already.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So there's like an hour long like B-roll of Cuba, and then like 3 of them used footage from that video.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh, you're there. Like, why just get it yourself?
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. That'd make me feel weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got too much, so I'm like, I might as well use what I have. It was fun.
Personally, I like the voiceover stuff. Is that something that you want, like you like, or
I like it, but it's like anytime I've tried to do it, even just for like a TikTok, it's like not timed right.
Yeah.
So I'm like either try to talk too fast, or I'm like not talking slow enough. I don't know.
Yeah, because you have an unnatural timing, because the footage you got, you didn't consider like, okay, what am I going to say over this?
Exactly.
You know?
I think I need to.
So sometimes next it's too long, or it's not long enough.
Next time I do a vlog, I'll literally be putting a script in my head of like,
yeah, edit while you go. Yeah.
Makes more sense. But yeah.
Yeah, but that's the fun part, right? Now you know.
Now
like,
I know.
I got to do it like this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we both want to do more like travel stuff like that. I even told him he should start his own.
I literally thought that's what his job was when I was like being a creep and looking at
I think he just travels.
Like, how do you work?
Yeah, he's blue collar worker right now. And then before, he's always rafted or bartended, or he's had many jobs, and then went to Berkeley. He's kind of like me. It's just this anomaly of a human where you're like, you've lived so many lives and you're only 33.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's so good at conversation. I was like, when I was like listening to him talk, I was like, I was compelled to listen. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's why I tell him too. I'm like, you are very. I love when we have I don't know. We can go back and forth with either banter, but then there's also times where we get serious, and when we get serious and we're having more of a vulnerable or intellectual conversation, he's just like, I don't know. He's just so honest and draws you in with what he's saying. Like, you have to pay attention because it's, I don't know. He has that. He has that energy. He has that voice. So,
all right. So
here's
what we'll do. You and I, we're gonna manage him. We'll take 10% off the top. That's standard. I've
already thought about it because I'm also like, he's so attractive, and I've shown his photos to like friends that do. Like my friend David, I was like, would you want him to do like some stuff for your soap, or like just shirtless stuff? He's like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah. He has I'm trying to like find the right word, because he's a very unique and handsome. Like, sometimes when you see someone that's handsome, it's because they look like, oh, this is what handsome's supposed to look like.
Right.
And he has his like, oh, he's like distinct. He's a very distinct look.
Exactly.
And he has all like the handsome features that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah,
no,
again,
for sure.
Let's
not
capitalize on this before someone else discovers him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, everybody who bought our podcast episode, we're like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, you guys look so good together.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's fun to look at.
Yeah, it was, even from my perspective sitting here, it was very fun watching you two. Like, you could really tell how much you guys like each other.
Yeah, just like from the first day we met, we've just always had fun with each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know where that's going to take us in the future, but so far I'm like, yeah, he just makes me laugh more than anyone. And I don't know, for me, that's always been like my goal. I'm like, I don't know. Someone who's a good person with a good heart, but could also just make you laugh.
Yeah, I've as I've gotten older too, I feel like that's one of my biggest requirements in a relationship. Like, I need to be silly.
We need to be silly.
Yeah.
If we can't be silly, then it's not going to work.
Yeah,
People who take themselves too seriously usually give me the ick, like right away. I'm like, This isn't.
The other, and also the opposite end of that is like being okay just sitting in silence, like being with each other.
No, that's why I'm like, I just feel, I don't know, we're very comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
There's one night in Cuba where I like couldn't fall asleep, but he was asleep, but he kept waking himself up from farting. So we both like would look at each other. He's like, I'm sorry. So stuff like that. I'm like, well, at least you're comfortable enough to just let it rip while you're sleeping next to me.
That's the first real test of relationship. It's like, when can you start farting in front of each other? That's when a real relationship begins, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't count until you start farting in front of each other.
It doesn't count. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, because it's always funny, like, especially when you're young and in relationships where girls like pretend that they don't even poo. And it's and it's like, oh no, I'm not one of the. No, I'm special. I don't do that.
Yeah, I'm always the first one to let a guy know that, especially if like a guy wants to have anal. I'm like, okay, well then you're gonna be very aware that this does other stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it has to go hand in hand.
Yeah, there's so much people don't realize there's so much prep work also that goes into it, like into anal. Like you can't just do it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's a lesson you only need to learn one time. It's not a spontaneous thing all the time.
Not always. It's and even when it's spontaneous, it's still planned on my part.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can think it's spontaneous, but I'm like, oh no, I tracked like when I eat and when we're doing this, and
that's funny. Okay. So what I'm excited for you to start your YouTube channel. I want to see I love travel, so I want to see your vlogs of you traveling. What's some other stuff that you want to do? Because
I'll probably start just doing day in the life stuff and cooking.
Q&As are so good too.
Q&As, I do love doing Q&As.
Because unfortunately, with YouTube, it's the way that it works is you just once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah. That's being consistent. It's kind of why I'm happy to not be in LA for a little bit. Besides coming here to do this and stuff, but I feel like it'll give me the space I need to kind of start making content that is more what I want to be doing. Because in LA, it's like I don't really want to leave the house, but in Marin, I feel like it's like a place where I want to be, and I want to be out in the world. So I'm excited to start that and just start filming.
So when I do creative consulting, one of the first questions I ask people who want to dabble into content creation is, okay, you have a couple hours of time to yourself and you turn on your TV or you turn on YouTube. What do you want to watch right now? Right. So what is that for you? Like if you were you have a couple hours to kill, maybe you turn on TV, maybe you turn on YouTube. What are you putting on?
Right. I mean, that's even what I try to think about with this podcast.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, I'm asking you directly. I mean, what are you? Yeah. And then let's see if we can make a video out of that. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel like it's either stand up or if I have a few hours to kill. Yeah. I mean, I do love cooking videos.
Do you have anyone in mind? Do you have a chef creator in mind that you're like?
Not really, because I feel like I'll be on Instagram or TikTok. And I'm just scrolling and seeing a lot of people that cook on those apps don't really show their face. So I'm not really registering that they're a real person, which is probably not the best. But I feel like I'll just be scrolling and watching them. I don't really ever go to YouTube and type in cooking unless it's a recipe that I'm trying to learn. But I always loved putting on Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown.
Okay, so we're definitely got to throw some cooking videos in that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Cuba was a little hard to do this, but maybe other parts of the world that I'll travel to. Kind of doing something along the lines like parts unknown, where I just like do more of a journalism thing with travel and talking to people that live in those countries, and kind of, because Cuba, most of the time Luke was talking because he can speak Spanish, but anytime I did talk to people, it was always a very sweet interaction.
How quickly do you think you could pick up a language? Like,
I feel like if I actually took the time, I would be able to learn Spanish or French pretty well.
You know what you should do is, when you guys are like planning your trips, go to like a non-English speaking country that Luke doesn't know, and then you guys learn it together.
We did do that in Japan.
Oh, okay. All right.
All we really picked up was sumimasen, which is like excuse me.
Oh, yeah. That's actually a pretty good one to know.
Yeah. We only picked up a few things.
I don't know how accurate this is, but I heard Korean is one of the easiest languages to learn because
Did Bobby say that?
No, I heard it.
Does Bobby even know Korean?
No.
No,
like
I was gonna say, I'm like, he's yeah.
I heard it from like
Korean. Okay.
Because there's like, the military base there, and so like there's a lot of like people from the military talking about like, you got to learn how to speak Korean.
Right.
And I'm so scared of giving like fake news out, but I heard that they redid their alphabet, like,
interesting,
and to where it's all what's the word, phonetic, where you can sound it out.
Right.
So they made it super easy to, like, if you can read it and sound it out, it's super easy to like learn how to speak it.
Okay.
So it was like a bunch of military guys saying you don't have an excuse not to learn how to speak Korean if you're going to be stationed here for the next couple of years. It's a super easy language.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Especially if I ever went and lived somewhere, I would definitely want to learn the language.
Is that something that you would want to do?
Maybe, because I mean, that's how I think, well, Luke already knew Spanish, but then he went to Madrid for a semester or something. And anybody I actually know, like my stepdad or other people in my life that are very good at Spanish, all have lived in like a Spanish country at some point and said like that's the best way to learn is when you immerse yourself. Yeah. So I just keep telling myself I need to go move somewhere, but no, I should just like be more disciplined and practice learning those languages, because even Remy, he knows 9 languages.
That guy is that guy's insane.
He is. But he was explaining it to me, though, because he went to private school in Switzerland, and the way they teach you language, he's like, it's a formula. Each thing is like, the way he explained it did make sense, especially when like Latin is the root for each thing that he learned. So, I don't know. I think it seems a lot more hard than it actually is.
What's like the practice? It's like, the practice is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for everything else, like if you're like learning how to draw, like you have an abundance of, paper and pencils to practice on, but you don't always have the conversational partner to practice with a new language.
No. And even like Luke is really good at Spanish, and he even said in Cuba they were speaking like a little differently, like they all have like there's like the funny one you'll learn is straws, like for drinking. Each one has a different name for each, like country that speaks Spanish has a different name for it, so it's like really confusing. Okay. And then some of them, I forget which one of them is like a swear word. Like, so it went, I'm just gonna, because I don't remember, we're gonna say the like in Mexico, what they say for straw is like a swear word in Guatemala or something like that. I think, it's like you have to be careful sometimes. No, for sure. And then same with that's what he kept picking up on in Cuba. They would use certain words, and then he's like, that means.
Yeah.
He's like, that means something dirty in Mexico.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they are talking about.
Yeah, that happens.
So
a
that
lot
was
too.
interesting because I don't know, Cuba. Yeah, it was more, and it was just like more of the Spanish, like from Spain, Spanish, not necessarily like Hispanic.
Yeah,
Mexican Spanish.
My story is like so embarrassing because I was actually raised speaking Spanish.
Oh.
I had to take kindergarten twice because when I finished, I only knew how to speak Spanish up until kindergarten, and then I tried to go into first grade, and they're like, "What the fuck? Like, what is this kid doesn't even speak English?"
He doesn't even speak English.
Yeah, so they made me take kindergarten again while I was learning English.
Okay.
And then now I barely speak Spanish.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then my family.
It's just a practice. It's totally something you gotta immerse yourself in.
And my family, like, they try and like say it's a joke, but I could see the anger in their eyes because now my little cousins don't speak Spanish, and they're like, well, he's the oldest, and it's his fault.
It's his fault
for no one else speaking Spanish.
Oh no.
But yeah, so mine's embarrassing. I was raised speaking Spanish. And also, I used to refuse to speak English to people. Like, it was actually when before my mom and stepdad started dating and got married, they were really good friends. So he would like come over to like barbecues and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then I just wouldn't speak to him in English. He would like say something and I'll say it in Spanish. My mom would be like, he doesn't speak. And I would like look at him like he's dumb. Like, you don't speak Spanish?
You don't speak Spanish?
Yeah, well, you're gonna learn.
Right.
And now he speaks better Spanish than me.
Oh,
like,
damn.
Because that's how you get in with almost any, like, if you're gonna like date a Hispanic person and you're not Hispanic, if you want the family to accept you, just learn a couple words,
right?
And then they'll love you. And my family, unfortunately, they're not like this anymore, but earlier on they were like very against dating non-Hispanics. They wanted you to stick. And my stepdad is half white, half Indonesian, so half white, half Asian, and they did not accept them dating.
Oh man.
And then he just learned a couple words in Spanish, and then they loved him.
Your family now.
Yeah. And then now he's like almost fluent.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Okay. I went off on a random tangent, but yeah, do you have any like closing thoughts?
I'm just very grateful for everything and all of you. Life's been kind of a whirlwind lately, and I'm just grateful for the moments where I get to reflect and catch my breath. Cuba vlog coming soon, if not already out right now. If it's not already out right now, by the time this comes out. If you hadn't already seen my and Luke's podcast episode, make sure to message me for it. And I love you guys.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.